Hello, THF 397 Professional Development Seminar colleagues and instructor, Mr. Jake Pinholster. I unfortunately cannot be here in class today due to a emotional journey I'm about to undertake to Michigan to, long story short, it's personal stuff. Anywho, long story short, couldn't avoid not taking the flight today, so couldn't be here in class. But I did respect Jake's wishes to be in class, to be part of the conversation, although this is sort of a one-sided conversation because it's just going to be me reading it and giving you my insight and my, reasons behind it, and more, the in-depth things I'm about to say. Anywho, so, I've sent Jake an email with my itinerary, with this YouTube video link, and an actual PDF of the document, which is written. It's right there. I'm just going to be reading from it and giving you a little bit more, behind it. So, I titled it, Through This Project I Would Like to dash, and then I listed some bullet points. I mean, this is as far as I know. So, first one is explore voiceover in live performance using Sorwana's poetry in the same way Terrence Malick uses it in film to explore the innermost parts of the character. So, a big part of Sorwana's professional and creative endeavors involved a lot of poetry, and a lot of the poetry that I find very essential to who she was, and I think the poetry fully explains her thoughts, her feelings, her emotions, with probably the most important aspects of her life, both being a woman, both being under, so the man's thumb for a long time, since she was in the 1500s, and also her lesbian relationship that had to be kept secret because those kinds of relationships were not acceptable at the time. So, in the same way that in Terrence Malick films he uses voiceover to sort of give you insight into a character that dialogue can't really do, I want to bring to life certain themes, certain experiences and events in her life that you can't really get without using her poetry in voiceover format. So it would be more of a performance, physical performance based with narration and music being played, over a big speaker thing. Okay, confront my inability to find a lasting resolution with religion and my recognition that spirituality isn't purely a hoax. So, when I came into finding Sorwana is a time in my life when I really rejected religion, everything about it. And when I found her as an incredibly smart, intelligent woman who advocated, everyone to, have access to knowledge, and she went through a shit ton of work to try to get educated, including tried cross-dressing so that she could be a man, so she could attend school, which I think is crazy. She ended up educating herself through her grandfather, who was a general, his vast library that he had. She inherited it. And it's described that her, the covenant that she worked in and lived out of was more of a social hub than it was anything else, where there's constant people and ideas and personalities all coming together, and a lot of conversations happening, and that's how it's been described multiple ways. But yeah, so this is my attempt to sort of bridge that gap that I have in my life, because when I was younger I was very religious, and I sort of fell away from it. So I'd like to figure out, what happened and how I can sort of fill some of that. I like to pay homage to someone I adore and admire, Sorwana, someone who has given me such respect for life, knowledge, and privilege. She is a perfect example of someone that had to work for everything she wanted, did not take no for an answer. She's an amazing person. You can look up all of her stuff on Wikipedia, and there are tons of things about her life available to us. I'd like to explore a piece of history long forgotten. I'm a huge fan of those little parts of history that you never really hear because they just, for some reason, just don't make it, through. And I love these little pieces that no one really knows about. I think it'd be really cool if people knew more about such a wonderful person like her. Bring to light Sor Juana in the only way I know how. Performance art. You heard it. That is self-explanatory as it gets. This next one's a little tough. I would like to show real torture equipment from the Inquisition, as it was very likely that she was threatened into recanting everything she loved and giving away all of her possessions. Towards the end of her career, actually at the very height of her career, she is recorded with meeting with her confessor, who is a constant person in her life, who will be in this piece. And after that meeting, she recants everything that she said. She spoke out a lot. She said, a lot of outrageous things at the time, according to the Catholic Church. And she had to give away all of her possessions, her entire library, everything. She just basically worked in a convent serving sick people. So I'd like to present some real torture equipment and some real torture dialogues that happened at the time, because I think it's very accurate in our time right now. I think torture is still a thing we're faced with today. It may not have the same religious things as it did, but I still think it exists, and I think it's terrible. I'd like to reveal how larger systems like the Catholic Church can be manipulated for good and evil. How on one side of the equation you have Sor Juana, who's using the Catholic Church and its system and its spirituality, to promote great things, while as you have another side which sort of uses it to control, to manipulate, and to push an agenda. I'd like to stage a play in my backyard and make it a social event with wine and snacks, therefore providing the guests with a comfortable setting to discuss and reflect. Self-explanatory. I'd love, that's a part of theater art and performance art that I love. In home, especially when you have a nice home. And the home I have here in Tempe, I'm very blessed with. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very blessed to live here. I'd like to bring together unlikely people to witness something they can't exactly label, but instead can describe through their own individual experiences. So, by doing it in my backyard, by doing it, with wine and cheese afterwards, and having, just an open sort of, dialogue between crazy amounts of people. Because if there's one thing I understand about my life, it's that I know a vast array of people. Like, it is, I tend to notice that when I enter different cliques of people, I have to turn on certain filters, but, theater, I tend to just shut off all the filters. I'd like to see what happens after that. What happens when you have people that are formed in certain areas and people that really aren't in other areas, and have them thrown together, watch a performance, a short 1-hour piece, and come on together afterwards and say, like, hey, like, I'll never forget that. That's something my father and I always enjoyed, was he anywho, blah blah blah. And to use real composed music from a student within the musical composition major. I met a friend, close friend of mine, my freshman year in the dorms at the Herberger, design school dorms, Best C. And I remember we had this conversation about what we were going to do as performance artists, and we started meeting about a year ago, and we've been creating music for this piece because we feel that there's not a lot of composed music that goes on with capstones, or at least in my experience, and at least in his experience, and we thought it'd be a great way to collaborate, and very much would serve both of us. I would get composed music for my piece and have that to say, I did that, I worked hard on that, and he would be able to say, I composed music. So those are the goals as far as I know them. I do not intend to limit them to that. I intend to explore them as far as I can, and I hope that this isn't too long. And I can't wait to hear more about your guys' project goals. Have a great class. Bye!